Whenever we think about tax deductible items, we must make a big difference between deductible items against income or against taxes. So in the first case, your qualifying expenditure will reduce your gross income to your net income, whilst in the second case, your qualifying expenditure is multiplied by a fixed coefficient which will be claimed against your tax bill, so driving you from the gross tax to the net tax. So how much is your benefit? How much money you can claim it back? In the first case, this is based on the marginal tax rate in which you sit in. So as you might know, the Italian tax system is based on progressive brackets going from 23% up to 43%. It makes a big difference if you spend money on a qualifying tax deductible item against income if your gross income is 25,000 euros or 100,000 euros. In the first case, you save tax at 27%, in the second case at 43%. So tax deductible items against income, they become more convenient the more your income increases. And that's for two reasons. The first one is that you save more money on taxes, and the second one is that you have more disposable income to spend on those items. So think about taking 2,000 euros if you have a gross income of 20,000 on an expenditure, or if you have an income of 100,000. In the first case, this is 10% of your gross income. In the second case, is 2%. So the more you earn, the more you should focus on those items. Whilst tax deductible items against tax, well, they're regardless of your income level. So health expenses, they call for a 19% tax reduction. If you make 1 million euros or 1,000 euros, you can still reduce your expenditure by 19%. You claim that against your tax bill. So there are many items on which you can spend money and call for a tax break, and in Italy most of them are focused on house renovation. And those items always call for a high amount of money. So think about that. If you spend 50,000 on renovation, the qualifying percentage goes from 50% up to 100%. So assuming you spend 50,000 euros, you can reduce your tax bill by 50,000. And this creates a little bit of a problem because, first of all, who pays 50,000 euros per tax per year? Very few people. So, and there's no concept of negative tax. So the amount of tax payable can only go down up to zero. You cannot get money back. You don't get negative tax. You get zero tax, and if you already paid tax, they issue you a refund, but you cannot go below zero, and there is no carry back nor carry forward. So in that case, let's say that your gross tax bill is 10,000 euros, you have qualifying expenditure of 50,000, what happens to those 40,000? Well, they would be wasted. So in the end, it's not a great system, and that always favors the richest. So only the richest can benefit of that, and that's not the purpose of the tax system. So what is the Italian tax government thinking? Well, they spread it out over 10 years. They say you can reduce your tax bill for 10 years on the same amount. So 50,000 tax break, 5,000 per year. Far more likely you do not waste any. Of course, there's a financial trouble because you anticipated 50,000 and you get back 5,000 per year. However, it is still better than paying 50,000 and wasting 40,000 of your tax break. And this creates, however, a few problems. So there might still be people, they waste that, or imagine that if you are 9 years old, have that expenditure, and what happens if you die within the next 10 years? Well, you can die anytime, but it's far more likely if you're old. So even in that case, that is wasted. So the Italian government has decided to boost that, to boost the possibility of benefiting of those tax breaks with the possibility of selling your tax credit, transfer your tax credit to the company providing the renovation. So in that case, you were required to spend 50,000, calling for a 50,000 tax break. You can trade that to your supplier, and basically your supplier will issue a zero invoice, and the supplier uses that money to claim against other taxes he's required to pay. So this is a really great system for a few reasons. First of all, There's no problem of wasting your tax money or your tax break. You're not going to waste any of those. Second of all, you are benefit of that today. So imagine that if you finance the renovation, then call for a tax break because you have zero money. So you have your house, but you have a loan to pay, and you finance that with your tax money. In that case, you do not need to apply for a loan. You do not pay any interest, and that's a zero-sum game, which is very good. And on top of that, this whole system is based on the fact that you pay tax in Italy. However, some people do not because they are non-resident or their income source is tax exempt or they pay substitute tax on that. So if you pay tax on dividends, it's 26% flat and you cannot claim any tax deductible item. So if you renovate your property, you do not have any tax break. But with this system, you can still renovate your property, benefit of your reduced tax rate and not wasting any tax break. Or if you're non-resident, so let's say you are an American owning a house in Italy and you want to renovate that. If you were tax resident, you could benefit of those, but if you're non-resident, you just pay that money. And with this system, you can benefit of the tax credit without even being registered in the Italian tax system. So the bottom line of all those tax deductible items is plan in advance, talk to your accountant, and figure out how to maximize your tax benefit. Because remember, if you have a tax credit, it doesn't mean they're rewarding you money, but it means that you already paid too much. So you are claiming your stuff back.